At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast is now on YouTube. Go on YouTube and search Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast and click that subscribe button to never miss an episode. Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts, Wrestling Chris G, and on the other line with me is the brother that, you know what, I don't even have a good nickname, because the nickname that I was about to do was about to be in bad taste. But he's my brother that I'd never want to miss. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how you doing?
Sick.
Yeah, I know you're sick. You're dying over there. Oh, I should have said my dying brother on the other line. I completely forgot you're sick.
Bad taste.
I know, real bad taste. But all right. So we are on this. We are reviewing Pokemon Origins episode 2, titled File 2, Cubone. And this episode premiered in Japan October 2nd. 2013, and here in the States, November 18th, 2013. So, if you're listening to this episode, hopefully you listened to part 1, and that's the reason that you're on part 2. But we're here, bro. I don't think we have too much chit chatting to do, because I think we can kind of get right on into the episode. Are you good to go?
Believe so. I mean, even this episode kind of throws us in with both feet.
I know, right? So, all right, everybody. Let's go ahead and jump on into this week's episode. And this week's episode starts off with it says continue, new game, or options. I would have turned this episode off if they clicked new game and was like, oh, I want to pick a different Pokemon. But no. All right, everybody. He clicks continue, and you are immediately thrown in, and it says player red badges 3 and Pokédex 42 and time played 8 hours and 22 minutes.
So damn.
Yeah. So there was only an hour and a few minutes played at the end of last week's episode, but now we're thrown in. He's gotten 2 more badges, but I guess we're about to get the explanation here, Doug. So
yes.
So all right. So we start this week's episode, and Red is doing the monologue, and he's like, after getting the Boulder badge from Brock, the Pewter City gym leader, I once again set off on my journey. And then he's like, along the way, an old man sold me a Magikarp for $500. He's like,
where I started to lose it because I didn't track his stats at the beginning.
For real.
I was like, shit, did I not click on the right episode?
He's like, I had a battle with Super Nerd at Mount Moon. And he's like, I fought a suspicious group called Team Rocket and recovered a stolen technical move. And you see the Team Rocket member looking all defeated and handing over the technical move. And he's like, fine, I'll return the stolen TM. And then we get a nice shot of Misty. He's like, I defeated the water type Pokemon I was weak against, and obtained the Cascade badge from Misty, the Cerulean City gym leader. And I'm just gonna throw out there, Misty is not 10 in this show. Not
Absolutely not even a little.
not at all. We got a older version of Misty in this. So And then he's like, after gradually leveling up Charmander, finally evolved into Charmeleon. And we get a nice shot of Charmeleon. He's like, once I took a break from fighting and got an old rod from a gentleman. He's like, I received a hidden move from a seasick captain. He's like, HM1. He's like, so much has happened. He's like, the
What is
Pokemon.
HM1?
What's up?
What is HM1? It doesn't say.
It's cut.
Ah.
Yes. So hidden move number 1 is cut. And he also was able, he's like, my Pokemon battle with Lieutenant Surge, the Vermilion City gym leader, was tough, but I managed to win and obtain the Thunder Badge. And he's like, and with the voucher I got from the president of the Pokemon fan club, he's like, I know, he's just running through it. He's like, I obtained a bike. After making it through the rock tunnel, I'm now headed for Lavender Town. And man, that was a monologue. So we really fast forward. And if you think this is a fast forward, wait until you hit episodes 3 and 4. But here he's like, I finally made it. He's like, to Lavender Town. And Doug, I'm going to hand this part over to you. So I'm not doing all the talking outside of that monologue, because that was a long ass monologue.
So he's at the Lavender Town Pokemon Center getting his Pokemon healed up, and little do we know the type of Pokemon he's working with now, and we hear a conversation saying, I hear that spooky Pokemon have been appearing at the Pokemon Tower lately, and Ghost and Red kind of turns around to the Pokemon Tower, and this one guy in a collared shirt's like, a lot of people have seen it, and Red's like, oh, that stuff about Ghost can't be true, can it? And the the guy's like, yeah, I haven't seen anything, but that's what everybody says. And I go on my philosophy on Twitter. If the popular opinion says something, I just fall in the crowd because I'm a collared shirt douchebag. And and he's like, what Pokemon Tower? And the like, oh, you're new here. And the woman, oh, he's like, it's a Pokemon cemetery. And the woman's like, come here, I'll show you. And we go outside, and she points up, and we see there's fog, but we can see that the building is barely visible. And she's like, if a Pokemon dies, you bury them in the Pokemon Tower. And the douche bro's like, a lot of people come from all over the world to pay their respects. And Red's like, well, hold up. That ghost you mentioned earlier, is that a Pokemon? And she's like, yeah. Or he's like, yeah. But that's only a rumor. But again, I heard it on Twitter, so it must be true. And she's like, do you believe in ghosts? He's like, I don't know. Probably not, but maybe. She's like, you know, I wouldn't believe that thing on your arm either. And Red turns around because he's about to piss himself. And she's like, what? And he looks and, oh, very funny, very funny. And he opens his eyes, and the douche bro and the green shirt lady are gone. He's like, well, motherfuck.
They were ghosts, Doug. Don't you get it?
And we get the Nurse Jenny speech. Your Pokemon are all healed to full health. We hope to see you again. And she's like, are you going to the Pokemon Tower? And he's like, yeah, I thought I might check it out. I mean, I got, 20 minutes to kill. And she's like, you should go to the Pokemon house before going there. He's a Pokemon. So he's repeating himself again.
Just a little bit.
He goes to this little unassuming hut at the base of the tower. He's like, this must be the place she was talking about. And he walks in, and he doesn't see anybody. He goes, hello, and this red-haired girl with pigtails shows up and it's like sort of place is this Pokemon house? And she's like, this is a facility to look after abandoned Pokemon. And he's like, abandoned Pokemon? That's disgusting. And she's like, I'll show you around. And, we see like an Oddish and a little Growlithe and a Vulpix getting brushed. And like, that's shit that people just abandon Pokemon. And she turns around and she's like, well, Mr. Fuji, the owner of Pokemon House, says there's a lot of people in the world who think Pokemon are tools or accessories. And damn, hurry up, you fucking.
It's like this place was originally Mr. Fuji's home. But Mr. Fuji ended up setting up the facility to help Pokemon. And then we get a nice shot of all of these volunteers, and they're helping these Pokemon that have been abandoned. And if I don't know about you, but if I was a Pokemon trainer and I'm trying to complete the Pokédex and I'm also trying to gather Pokemon, I would have asked if, hey, I'll take these Pokemon and do the best with them. I would have taken all the Pokemon. What about you, Doug?
I thought that's how it was heading.
I thought that's what it was heading to too, but he didn't do it. He just looked at all these Pokemon, and Professor Oak is up in a cloud somewhere going, you get those damn Pokemon and fulfill my damn dream.
Done told you I was an old man.
I'm not long for this earth. But Red is like, he's like, that Mr. Fuji seems like a really nice guy. And the girl's like, he really is. That's why the townspeople volunteer to help him out, because he's such a great guy. She's like, I'm Rena, one of the volunteers. And he's like, I'm Red. Nice to meet you. And then we see a Rattata playing with someone. And then he's like, the Pokemon all look so happy. And then he's like, except this one over here. Who's this? And we get a shot of a Cubone, and Cubone is all defensive, and he's just standing in the corner waiting to hit someone in the face with his bone if he can. And Reina's like, she's like, it's a baby Cubone. It's attached to Mr. Fuji. And he's getting all tense again and looking over at Red and Rena. And she's like, but it's cautious of other people.
She's like, it's all because of Team Rocket. And Red's like, Team Rocket? And she's like, one day they were
encountered by Team Rocket.
They were encountered by Team Rocket while they were out chasing after. Team Rocket was out in the field chasing after these Pokemon. They were chasing after a Sandshrew and a Sandslash, and they had the little Cubone cornered because it's valuable, and Cubone was trapped by a tree stump, and he was shaken, and he's like, you just gotta let us catch you. And then Team Rocket's taken off their feet by a Marowak. Marowak's like, the fuck you are. And he tells Cubone to get along, and the Team Rocket guy's like, you bastard, you're gonna pay for that. He whips out like a billy club, like a baton stick, but it's like a taser. And
long story short, he tased this damn Marowak to death.
Yeah. And Cubone stops, and he's just dumbstruck, and Mr. Fuji approaches and kneels down. He's like, you poor thing. And he just kind of grabs the Cubone by the shoulder and picks him up, and Cubone buries his head in his chest and just starts crying. And you can see that fucking friends get a little misty-eyed, and she's like, since then he only trusts Mr. Fuji. And you can just see a little Cubone It's just like, yeah, that's right. You don't want to mess with this. I do still have this bone. And Red just goes, those Team Rocket guys are bastards. How dare they? He's squeezing on the gate, and you can see that Cubone's kind of got his guard up because he's, needs to be ready to move. And we go back into like the main area, and Red's like, well, the nice people at the Pokemon Center, who I later found out were ghosts, told me to come here before I go to the Pokemon Tower. And and
Yeah, well, he's
Red's like, this was a very worthwhile trip. And Ren's like, Mr. Fuji isn't just kind, he knows an awful lot about Pokemon. And
she's like, he can teach you a lot. And Red's like, he's like, I'm helping to complete a Pokédex. So that's why I'm looking to meet Mr. Fuji. Where is Mr. Fuji anyway? Which one of these guys is him? And she's like, oh, sorry.
And then Ren's face kind of falls, and she goes, we don't know where he is. And, almost like it's on a TV show, some dude in a green shirt pops in the side door and says, I know where Mr. Fuji is. Like, he whiz. He's in the Pokemon Tower. We see a shot of Mr. Fuji walking towards the tower. People saw him heading there yesterday. He was by himself. He's like,
and he never came out.
And one guy's like, why would he do that by himself? And the chick with purple hair is like, isn't it obvious? He's going after Team Rocket.
Yeah, he's going in. He's going in there to ask Team Rocket to leave the Pokemon Tower, and she's like, and now he's captured. He's like, you don't negotiate with people like them. And Red gets all defensive. He's like, what happened at the Pokemon Tower? And the guy is like, are you he's like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Red. I'm on a journey and I'd like Mr. Fuji to teach me about Pokemon. He's like, but he's not here. And the guy's like, Team Rocket turned the top floor of the Pokemon Tower into their hideout.
Straight from the game.
I know. And Reina's like, she's like, there was no warning. They came out of nowhere. And then we get a nice little scene of a truck ramaging through the town, and about 10 members of Team Rocket come flying out of the truck, and they rush into this building. You see an old man getting ready to pay his respects to his Pokemon, and Team Rocket shows up, and they're like, this is our hideout now. I won't allow you to enter. And he's like, go away. And the guy's like, yeah, I just want to go to the grave. And the Team Rocket,
just say?
I told you to go away.
Yeah. Down the stairs. Just Jesus.
That was violent. Like and when we say they pushed him, they literally pushed him, and you see him fly on his back down the stairs. And this is an old man. Everyone. And Reina's like, ever since we've been unable to enter the Pokemon Tower. And
he's like, and Red's like, those jackasses. And then a girl in a pink shirt's like, and there's a ghost.
She's like, I'm not lying. I saw it with my own eyes. The other day I went to visit the grave in the middle of the night when Team Rocket wasn't around. And when I did, I saw a figure. And then we hear, get out, leave this place. And she's like, ghost. And she just ran out. She's like, it was so scary, Doug.
Red's like, no shit. And the guy in the green shirt who knows where Fuji is says this town is finished if no one can enter the Pokemon Tower.
We can't stand up to Team Rocket on our own.
Because Ren's all ready to get a posse together, and she's like, and everybody's basically like, a lot of people have tried. It's kind of hopeless. And Ren's kind of like, well, this is bullshit. Fuji went there to confront Team Rocket for the town's sake, and y'all are just sitting here shaking in your boots. And um,
And we
I
can't
think
abandon him. And then everyone sits there and they cower because they're sitting there going, well, we're not abandoning him. We just know that we stand no chance against Team Rocket. So why are we going to go over there and put ourselves in danger? Like freaking cowards.
eventually they're gonna let him go. And Ren's like, how can you be so cruel? And they're just standing there, and Red's like, fuck, God, I'll go. I got 10 minutes left here. I gotta do something. And the chick with the pink hair is like, well, that's absurd. You're just one guy, and these are grown adults. And the
Yeah,
guy in the blue
yes.
shirt's like, you have no idea what could happen if you go up there. And Red's kind of like, well, goddamn it is my show, kind of. And he's like, I can battle anybody. I'm confident. He's like, look, I got 3 badges. He peels back his lapel, and everybody's like, he's
You
got 3 badges.
you want to know what line he should have said at this time, Doug? Because didn't at the beginning of this episode when I was going through that monologue, didn't he say that he had a run-in with Team Rocket already?
Yes, that's how he got the TM.
Yeah. So he should have said, I've already dealt with Team Rocket before. They're bastards, and I know that I can go up there and I can beat them.
And he basically says, look, I'm not going to sit around and let Team Rocket do whatever they want. And he's like, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to avenge Cubone's mother. And like, I have to try. I'm the babyface. We see Blue's kind of looking in
Peeking around the
through a
corner.
door. He's like, oh, so that's the game we're playing.
And he's like, so that's it. He's like, Blue's like, if I chase Team Rocket out of the Pokemon Tower before Red, then I'll be the hero.
What a prick.
I know. So and he walks away and he walks towards the Pokemon Tower, and where it was daytime and it's immediately nighttime now, everyone. And I don't know what Red was doing for all those hours, but he walked out and he's on his way over to the Pokemon Tower, and he's like, even so, now that I'm actually here, this is really creepy. And he's getting ready to walk in, and he's looking around, and he's like, it suddenly got colder in here. And he sees a woman and he thinks that she's a ghost, and she immediately goes, I'm not a ghost. And Red's like, he's like, oh man, don't scare me like that. And she's like, I just had to see my Nidoran. Are you going to visit a grave too? Boy, whose boy whose thoughts are filled with Pokemon? And she's like, aren't you scared? And she's like, no, not at all. It seems like the ghosts only appear upstairs. I'm sure it has a grudge against Team Rocket. And Red's like,
Red's like, go upstairs.
And he flashes a light, or no, not him, but we're immediately thrown up to Blue, and Blue flashes a light, and he's on the 5th floor now. Doug?
He's like, oh, this ghost stuff is just probably a trick by Team Rocket, and I'm too smart to fall for that kind of stuff. And he approaches the the final stairwell, and he's like, the Great Blue will expose Team Rocket's scheme and drive them out. I'm the babyface.
He's like, soon my name will forever be etched into the history of Lavender Town.
Slowly ascends the staircase. And then we are thrown in the middle of a Team Rocket hideout.
Yes, and They're basically just hanging out, and it looks like some of them are polishing their Pokeballs, some of them are resting. And one of the Team Rocket members, he's like, "Hey, have you heard? They say you'll sometimes see a ghost in the Pokemon Tower." And one of the guys like, "Stop that! I'm no good with ghost stories."
The guy sitting in a fucking haunted tower.
I know. And a third guy, he's like, "It's probably just a ghost type Pokemon playing pranks." And the guy's like, "No, it seems it's a real ghost." And the guy's like, "Seriously?" And the other guy's like, "It's fine. We've got this." And he's like, "It's a self scope and it exposes the whereabouts of any hidden ghost type Pokemon," which
So
is
at least this,
straight from the video game.
I was gonna say, and at least this Team Rocket has freaking cool technology. And um,
I always wondered what those look like and what they envisioned it, because when you get the self scope in the video game, it looks just like a telescope. It's not this cool thing that you strap over your head like a VR system. It
well,
was
what are
a
you expecting? This is a game in 1998 or whatever the fuck.
I don't care. I mean, you're telling me they never watched Ghostbusters? I mean, at least in Ghostbusters they had cool glasses like these. I mean, come on. You're talking about Japan, peak Japan anime in freaking the 1990s. But and the guy's like, "It's even effective on ghosts." He's like, "Is it really?" And the Team Rocket guy, he's like, "Don't be such a scary cat. You're an adult, for gosh sakes." And up the stairs to the 6th floor, here's Blue. And Blue is like, "Are those Team Rocket guys up here?" He's like, "Ghost this, ghost that. Turns out there's nothing here." And then he's confronted immediately by a ghost that is like, "Leave this place." And Blue doesn't even think twice and just darts.
He darts, he chucks his flashlight down, he's just a running. And Team Rocket's sitting there and they're like, "What's that? There must be a ghost." And um and he's like, "Someone's probably stuck again. I'll go check." And he's brave to go all by himself. And Red approaches a staircase and all of a sudden comes barreling down Blue, and they
did,
embrace, because I think they both would have fallen down.
dude, did you see the way that Blue was running down these stairs?
He was booking it.
He was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," and just whack right into Red. And so Red's like, "Blue?" He's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, there's a ghost." And then you hear, "Get out. Leave this place." And Red and Blue are freaking scared, and he's like, "So there really is a ghost. Red, let's get out of here." And Red's like, "No, if you want to run, then run. I can't run away." Doug, you wanna take
He,
this?
and he goes into a corner and he throws out Charmeleon, and the ghost is like, "You better get out. You better leave this place." And Blue's like, "You don't have to fucking tell me twice." And um, about halfway up a stairwell, he's confronted by a flashlight, and the Team Rocket guy is like, um,
Who are you?
"Yeah, who are you? Do we have a problem here?" And um, Blue's like, "Oh, a human Pokemon is nothing." And he throws a Pokeball, and then we swipe to a Cubone breaking out of its pen and heading towards the tower.
Yes.
And Red sends Charmeleon to do scratch, and it's a fucking ghost, so nothing.
He just
And
goes right through it.
get out, leave this place. And it's like, shit, it's not working. So what do I do? And Blue's like, Blue has retreated after obviously beating the Team Rocket grunt And he's like, "Here, use this," and it's the night vision goggles,
Self scope.
and he's like, "It'll let you see the." Well, he's like, "What's this?" And then we see Ren is chasing after Cubone. You shouldn't go up there. And then he puts on the headgear, and he can focus in on the spirit, and it's Mirawak, and
Yes.
like that's Cubone's mother. Like, and Cubone's now got a female voice. To get out, don't go near them. And Cubone's just running, and obviously he can sense his mother, so they embrace, and Cubone and Mirawak turn orange, and you know it's fucking heartwarming. And Red's like, "There's no need to fight," and he calls back Charmeleon, and um, they're like, "Oh, Mirawak just wanted to,
Embrace
make
embrace its child one last time.
sure it was safe," and you can kind of see that Mirawak is satisfied and starts to uh, send upwards, and Cubone's like, "No, you gotta come back," and Cubone's just standing there. He's like, eh, eh. And Ren's like, now Cubone's mother was now it can rest in peace, and Cubone sends a cry up towards the ceiling, and um Blue's like, "I guess this is my cue to exit. I'll just leave the rest to Red." And the Team Rocket grunts are sitting in a pile, and they're like, "What happened? Where's the silk scope?" And off screen, Red's like, "You mean this?" And um,
And then he's like, one of the guys like, "You cheeky brat, get him!" Coughing, and Red sends out Jotion, and Team Rocket the member sends out Coughing, and Jotion goes in for a tackle, and then is told to do a quick attack, and then freaking Team Rocket is like, "Eat this!" Coughing, smog attack, and Coughing goes smog, and
and
Jotion's
Jolteon's
just
just dodging and just
tuned.
wah 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 wah. And all of a sudden, out of the smog comes Cubone's bone, and Red's like, "Now that they're distracted, use Thunderbolt," and he just gets it, and just Coughing is just fried, and he sends him back. He goes, "I can't believe we lost to this brat. This isn't over. This isn't the last you'll see of us."
And then Team Rocket just ends up leaving this building. So, and he's like, "Damn it!" He's like, "Beaten by a kid. This isn't over yet." And Team Rocket ends up leaving, and they're like, "Oh, we did it! We did it! Isn't it great, Cubo? You got to see your mother again one last time." And they go finally upstairs to the seventh floor, and they're like, "Ah, Mr. Fuji!" And Mr. Fuji is tied up by rope, and Miss Fuji's like, "Oh my goodness, you came to save me." And he's like, "And you are?" And Red is like, he's like, "I'm Red." And Ren goes, "Red beat Team Rocket in a Pokemon battle." And he's like, "I see. Thank you very much, Red." And then we see Cubone, and Cubone is very sad, but he's so happy to see Mr. Fuji again. And Mr. Fuji's like, "It seems Marowak's wandering soul has gone to the afterlife." And then he looks over at Red. He's like, "Truly, thank you, Red." And then we're completely thrown from the inside of the Pokemon Tower uh, back to, oh well, we're thrown down to the first floor where people are paying their respects to their Pokemon. We see one guy is crying and paying his respects to Clefairy. Another one's paying her respects to Growlithe, and she's like, "Why did you have to die?" And we're thrown back into Mr. Fuji's uh, Pokemon. What would you call this home?
Sanctuary.
Yeah, Sanctuary. And Cubone is now like open and warmed up to everyone. And Cubone is a happy little soul. And Mr. Fuji and Red are talking. And Mr. Fuji's like, thanks to you, everything is back to normal now. He's like, what's more, Cubone finally opened his heart to everyone. And Red's like, it's nothing. And Mr. Fuji's like, it seems you're completing a Pokédex. And he's like, yeah, I'm helping Professor Oak. And Mr. Fuji's like, I see. Oak. Huh. Doug?
He was a real bastard. He's like, I feel like you might be at a disadvantage in your completion journey, without love for your Pokemon. And he's like, I have a couple things that I can give you to help you on with that matter. And Red's like, oh, and he's sitting at a table, and Fuji's at a cabinet, and he pulls out a Poke Flute,
Yes.
a la Snorlax, and a box. And he picks up the flute, and he's like, what's this? He's like, it's a Poke Flute. If you play this in front of a sleeping Pokemon, it'll spring awake. And like so, and then Red's like, okay, but what's in the box? And he's like, go ahead and open it. And Red calls them gems. He's like, are you sure you want to give me something so expensive? And Fuji's like, oh no, these stones have no value as jewels. He's like, well then what are they? And Fuji's like, oh, you'll find out. What are they? If they're evolution stones, he knows what it is because he got a Jolteon.
They're not that type of so they make your Pokemon like which you'll find out in a later episode. So this was not something that was originally in red and blue and green version.
Okay.
So if you have like a Charizard, you can evolve your Charizard for a limited amount of time into like a Mega Charizard.
Aha.
So they're Mega Evolution Stones is what they are.
Gotcha.
But they're foreshadowing it because when I was originally watching this, I'm like, what are these stones? And that's exactly what they are. Well, that's what one of the stones are. I forgot what the second stone is. I think the second stone
Got
link
like a DNA helix on it. A little marble fella.
Yeah, the little marble. I think and people are probably gonna hate me for when they hear me describe this, but I believe the little marble is the one that's for red, and the big one is the one that's for red's Pokemon. And I think red holds the little one, and he gives his Pokemon the big one, and them together kind of meshes up, and so he can kind of control his Pokemon is how I think it works. But I'd have to go back and rewatch that episode of how he uses it. But I think the little gem connects the big gem together so that they can battle together somehow.
Aha.
Yeah.
So Red is getting back on his bike. He's about to leave Lavender Town, and everybody's like, thank you so much. Take care on your journey. You're welcome to come back if you ever need anything. Please be sure to come back. And Red's like, all right, job well done. And he's pedaling away. And so we hear off in the distance, hey, Red. And it's Blue. Fucker's up in the tree. And he's like, you owe me one. He's like, what do you mean I owe you one? He's like, I gave you the silk scope so you could identify the ghost.
He's trying to make him seem like he's the hero. And
you're like, yeah, but you're also the guy that said, hey, Red, let's get out of here. That pathetic voice. And it was like, no, you were hearing things. And Red's like, I don't know. I remember pretty clearly. and
Red just gets on his bike and just bikes away.
Blue's just shouting into the distance, I never said that.
He's like, really? And
not once.
And Blue is sitting there embarrassed, doesn't have a bike yet. And then we get one final shot of the Lavender um, of the Lavender Town cemetery, and then we're immediately
And the music.
yeah, and the music. And we're immediately thrown into the save card, just like episode 1 is like, would you like to save this game? And it says player red, badges 3, Pokédex 45, and time played 11 hours and 22 minutes. So it took him 3 hours to defeat everything in Lavender Town, apparently.
Apparently.
So, and that's the end of that episode. So, yeah, um, good episode. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a big step up from episode 1. So how did you like this one, and what would you rate this one on your Duggometer, Doug?
This was definitely probably a 3, maybe a 3.5. Um, I feel like if we were watching a Kanto or a Black and White, we would call this a filler episode, even though a lot did happen. A lot of it
Yes.
was basically the, oh, by the way, you missed 8 days of gameplay.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that being said, I want to thank everybody for listening to episode 2, titled File 2 Cubone. Doug, do you have anything else to add this week for this Pokemon Origins special?
No, it was a vast improvement over episode 1. I can't wait to see the jumps they make in 3 and 4, because you said, oh boy, watch out. So,
Yeah,
oh no.
we're finally getting Giovanni because episode 3 is titled File 3 Giovanni. So Giovanni is going to be introduced in the next episode, of course, because the episode is titled after him. But I'm not going to give any spoilers. But if you want to go and watch these episodes, go on watch.pokemon.com and they have it listed under specials. And then you'll be able to hear our review on this next week. If you're listening to this on Patreon, the day that it was released, the next 2 episodes are going to be dropping in 2 weeks and they will be dropped together. Outside of that, next week on Patreon, you're getting a regular episode of a review that we're going to be going over. And if you're listening to this on the free feed, the next episode will be airing next week. So you got a week to wait. But other than that, anything else, Doug?
Oh, I'm about ready to go pass out now.
Same here. Same here. So, all right. Well, then say goodbye, Doug.
Bye, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G telling all of you I will see you next week for another episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. Have a good night, everybody.